Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of The Place to Soar, where our motto is step out and redesign, and the focus is always on you. I have an incredible guest here. She's someone that I've actually known for quite a while, but hadn't seen her in a long time, and we got together quite by accident at an art studio, and she's going to tell us all about her art studio. Her name is Princis Lewis. She loves painting and making arts and crafts. She is also a writer of several intriguing fictional stories and a book of poems. She co-authored an anthology, The X Chronicles, with a short story called Memory Full. As a wife, mother, and grandmother, she's very creative and enjoys helping people discover their own artistic side. Her personal journey can be found on YouTube entitled My Story After the Fire. She earned her master's degree in education, is actively involved in AKA sorority, and along with her husband Kenneth Tony is a co-owner of Art and Soul Paint Studio in Ewing, New Jersey. It's a family-owned business dedicated to bringing the artists out in everyone. So I'm going to stop at that point and just let you just jump right in and tell us who you are.
Okay. So my name is Princess, and I've always liked to write, and I've been writing since I was a little girl. I have so many stories in my head. The studio fell in my lap a couple years ago when my oldest child, my daughter, she would encourage me to pursue my interest in painting and helping other people and doing
child
things.
is encouraging the parents.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes, yes. And so because of her, we created Art and Soul. And because it is a family business, the different, my children, my husband, we all have different talents and we all contribute in different ways. But it's fun.
So tell us about it, Art and Soul. Like, what do you do there? Where is it?
Okay. Well, it's located in Ewing. It's on Olden Avenue. And it's a place where you come and we have the right music, we have the aroma, we play jazz music, R&B, and the painters do step-by-step instructions. Well, I provide step-by-step instructions, and it's really a place to socialize. It's not necessarily an art school, but if you happen to learn a thing or two, then that's a plus.
Good. So yeah, I had the opportunity to come to one of the parties there. And remember, I walked in and I'm like, I know this lady from somewhere. And then we kind of put it together and remembered what the connection was and all of that. So tell me a little bit more about your writing, though. I want to hear about that.
Okay, so I've been writing for many years, but I've never had the opportunity to finish a story. So, for example, to give you just an idea of what I'm talking about, my email address is writing11books at gmail.com. And but now I'm up to about 21. But the interesting thing is they're in my head.
Right.
And so one day I came across
fiction stories.
Yeah.
Or? Okay.
Well, one is a story of my journey.
Okay.
But the rest of them are fictional.
So where do you get your inspiration for your story?
Just life.
Just life.
Life. My imagination, the way my mind works, I just think of what if,
Right.
And so none of my stories are really based on anything that I've, you know, I want to say they're true. I mean, they're life experiences, but not based on anyone in particular.
I understand.
So when I came across a call for papers through Brown Girls Publishing, they were asking for short stories for an anthology they were working on. And I felt that that was a perfect opportunity to finish something.
Oh, okay.
So I had all these books in my head that I started. Some of them I was into like maybe 200 pages, but then that was it. The ending is in my head. So when I came across that opportunity, I said, this is a good chance for me to start something, have a middle, and have an end. So over 500 people submitted stories, and they were picking 20. And so I was one of the 20 that was selected. So the authors are across the country, so we didn't know each other. And and the book was published, and it's a book about relationships. So it's called X Chronicles, and it's about all different type of relationships that you could think of. I like to just describe it as it's about, you'll find a story about the one who got away, the one who shouldn't have got away, the one who won't go away,
the one you wish would go away.
It's all about that, all wrapped into one.
Oh, nice.
And it's a really interesting book.
So tell me about your story, though. I want to hear your story.
So my story is called Memory Full, and it's about a young lady who had gotten to a point in her life where she had done everything she wanted to do. She had the perfect husband, she had the perfect job, everything was perfect in her life. And then there was a part of her life that she had buried away to never think of again. And one day that past came back, and she was faced with a decision. And of course it was a man. So now she has this one man that she loves, and she has her security, and she has everything that she wants. And then she has this other man that went away when she was in her early 20s because of circumstances. And so they never really had a chance to say goodbye, even though this is about maybe 15 years later. So you have to read the story to find out what she did.
So can you give me a little hint of what the title means?
Well, the title, thank you for asking, because a friend of mine who we had been friends for 35 years, we met in college, she recently passed away. And she was one of my biggest supporters. And I would bounce ideas off of her all the time. And one time I called her, but she never answered her phone. That was the one thing about her. You just knew that if you called her, you had to leave a message.
Oh, okay.
So I would call her, and her answering machine would come on, and it would say, Memory Full.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, I said, that's my title, because one of the pivotal moments in the book is when she comes to a point where she says, my memories of you are full. I have no more I have no more room for new memories.
Okay.
And
oh, wow.
So my memories of you are full. So that was the name of the book.
So in the book itself is X Chronicles, right? And that's on the market, like people can go on Amazon. And oh, good.
And so that was a great moment for me, because I was able to.
So how did you feel when you
Oh my God.
So first of all, how did you feel when you got picked?
Oh my God. I was just ecstatic. I was so happy, because I knew so many people and had submitted stories.
Right.
And these are people that were considered writers. I didn't really consider myself a writer, because I had never really I have a group of friends that I would bounce
but
things
you were
off.
a closet writer.
I was a closet writer.
Yes. And a lot of people out there are closet writers.
Yes, yes. And I have stories.
Yeah.
I have so many stories in my head. I cannot have a conversation without turning it into a story. And God bless my husband, because he just sits there. He knows me so well. He just sits and let me tell my stories, But a lot of people stop me. They say, get to the short version. Give me the short version. Yeah, I have one girlfriend of mine. I can't tell her anything, because she wants to hear the short story. But when I talk, I want you to see what I see.
Yes.
I want you to feel what I feel. So I can't just.
Which is the whole point of writing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, it's just if I'm talking about what I had for breakfast. I just don't want to say I had bacon and eggs.
Right.
I have to describe the kitchen, and I have to describe the
Yes.
plate that I use, and what did I drink, and was it cold, and did I have, So
You're a writer.
Yes.
You are definitely a writer.
Mhm.
I've actually, because I'm a writer too, and I was a closet writer for a long time as well. And I'm working on my book. I think I shared a little bit with you. And one of the things that I discovered is that I am actually a creative nonfiction writer. Like that's the genre that I'm writing in. But I didn't really know that's what it was until I saw the term creative nonfiction for the first time. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then I started reading and just understanding more and more about what does that look like and everything. And then I started going back and I'm like, wow, that's exactly how I am. So I started taking like some workshops and things like that so I could understand the genre a little bit more. And that helps to improve my writing as I'm going along and stuff like that. So when you do stuff like that, you're definitely really a writer.
I think I like that I think that's what I am too.
A closet writer?
No, the creative.
Oh, creative nonfiction.
Nonfiction writer. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of that, so you've got a book about the fire. Do you want to share about that?
Yes. My son. Well, let me back up. Here's a story. So, my husband and I, we have 5 children, and the 2 girls are dancers. My oldest daughter is a dancer. She has a brilliant business mind. I have a son who is an excellent writer. He is a rapper. He performs all over the country, and I love it. I love his wordplay. And he wrote a play. He wrote a play. Nice. He didn't do anything with it, but I thought it was fabulous. My other son is an artist. He's studying at Kane. And he's a graphic designer, but he also paints. And then my youngest daughter is an actress, a singer, and dancer.
Oh, wow.
My husband and my other son are...
So it just runs in the family.
They're more low-key.
Yeah.
My husband and my other son are very low-key. They just support us in what we do.
Okay.
So when I started with... telling my story. It happened about 23 years ago. But for 23 years, I talked about it, and because I wanted people to learn from what I had gone through. Okay. And it wasn't until 2 years ago that my son, the one that's the performer, the rapper, he did a video for me. And I liked, at that time, people were doing videos using cards.
Oh, yes.
So I thought that was so nice because I thought it helped people to tell a story without telling the story.
Yes, exactly.
So I wanted to do that. And when I found the studio, and my husband and I, we spent the first 30 days fixing it up. So we were there till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, the place in Ewing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And we were painting it, and I had the vision, but he's my supporter. He's actually the wind beneath my wings. I love that saying because that's him. And the 2 of us would be there painting and with the hammer and nails and the signs, and and I would explain my vision and he would just see my vision through. Okay. So once we did all that part, there are permits you have to get and certain licenses. So a fireman came to the studio to do an inspection, and he was so nice. And he was saying things that you would think someone would say if you knew the person. So he was giving me shortcuts, like you have to do this, but if you go here, you could get it, quicker or more affordable. And I thought that was really nice of him. And so I said to him that I have this thing for firemen because a fireman saved my life over 20 years ago. And he said, he was asking me what happened. And I was telling him, and he says, well, where did this happen? And I gave him my address, and he had been a fireman about 30 years or so. And he said, that's my area. And as we began to talk, like my arms, we had this connection, he and I. And so come to find out, he was there.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
so I was at a house fire, and with grease, cooking grease. And when it happened, the fireman who showed up, he was talking to me on my front porch. And I remember it so vividly because he kept asking me the same questions. What day is it? How old
Oh,
are you?
yeah.
When is your birthday?
Yes.
What day is it? How old are you? When is your birthday? And I remember thinking, why is he asking me this? But later I found out that he was saving my life because he
Yeah.
was keeping me from going into shock. He knew the extent of my injuries before I did. So, and he also was the person who was in charge of making a call on whether I would go to a local hospital or have a helicopter take me to Delaware, or close to Delaware. And he made that call. And I found out later, had they taken me to a local hospital, the chances are I probably would not have made it. But I went, they flew me to Crozier, where I stayed for 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
But in that story, the next day he contacted me and he found a list. He pulled the records from that day, and it was him. He was the person.
Wow.
And
Wait, he was the one?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he was so touched that he invited me and my family to the fire department. It's the Prospect Heights Fire Department in Ewing. And they put together a little like program for me, and they watched the video. They all sat, and these were grown men, and they were crying.
Oh.
And they said to me that they put their lives on the line every day. Firemen do in general, for people they don't know. And after they save them, they never know what happens. Did they make it? Did they not make it? So to meet me, and to see that I was one of the ones that made it, they stood in a line, and it was maybe about 18 of them, but some of them had passed away, in the last 20-some years, but their sons were there. And the ones who didn't have sons, their wives came, and they stood in this long line. They hugged, each one of them hugged me one at a time, and it was a really incredible feeling. So the story is on YouTube, and if you search for My Story After the Fire.
Oh, so this is actually a video.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it's called My Story After the Fire.
Okay.
And I like to share that, sometimes when people come to the studio. My studio is like no other, and I take pride in that because I'm very hands-on, and I want to give people the opportunity to leave all the stress outside.
Yeah.
I want them to come in. I always tell them, take a deep breath. Every class, someone says to me, I can't draw a circle. They'll pull me to the side like it's a secret. And they'll say, listen, I can't draw. I can't paint. And I say, you're the best one. You're
right. You come to the right place.
You came to the right place. And at the end, they are so happy.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Because as a matter of fact, coming to your studio was the first time I had ever done that. And I had kept saying, like, I want to go to one of these paint parties. Or, people have wine and paint and sips and all that. I'm like, I want to go to one of those.
Yes.
And then I finally got invited to one, and it was at your studio. Yep. And I had a marvelous time. First of all, because of the people, I was surrounded by people that I know. We were it was a birthday celebration. And all of that, and just the whole process. Because I came in like, I'm thinking like, okay, I used to dabble a little bit when I was younger, but definitely not. But then just the way everything flowed, and we were all, I liked it because we were all painting the same thing. Yes. But all of our paintings were completely different.
Completely different.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Different colors, different hair, and that's the part that people like, to be creative. Yeah. Because when you go to a studio to paint and everybody does the same picture, the same background, the same front, and then it takes away the that thing that is yours. Yes. It's not yours.
I totally agree.
But when you come to Art and Soul, it's you created that. You wanted her hair to look like that.
And I still have my painting.
Yes. Yeah. You wanted that background, that corner. Yeah. Everybody says that.
I still have it.
That's what I want. I want people, I don't want you to toss your picture when you leave. Yeah. I want you to be proud of it. And people go on Facebook.
And it's memorable.
Yes.
You remember like, oh yeah, this is when we went and celebrated so-and-so's birthday. And
Yeah.
and all of that.
And I try to make, right now, I basically do private parties. Hopefully, and soon I'll start doing open classes. But for right now, people contact me when they want to have a girls' night out. I have couples night. I have a sorority sister Sunday where different women from different sororities will come and paint the same picture, but their own colors. And they do their own style and they create whatever they want. I have kids. Once a month, I have a kids paint free.
Oh, nice.
And the first 4 or 5 months, I sponsored it myself from 10 to 12. But it became so successful that what I started doing was promoting it within my classes, that if anyone was interested in sponsoring a child,
nice.
a free day.
Yeah, that's nice.
And you would not believe the response that I have. So I let them know, what it would cost to instruct 20 children, and provide juice and little chips, and so each month, whoever sponsored it, whether it's an individual person or an organization, it's called that person's day, and they are welcome to come and paint at no cost.
That's nice.
We make an announcement that this paint party is because of
so and so. Oh, very nice.
So I do that.
Nice.
And I just want to do all kinds of things. I want to do spoken word. I want to have a night of poetry. I do birthday parties.
So a night of poetry at the studio?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Yeah. So I figure we can have, the jazz, and people will come up to the mic and just, either read something and do their thing.
Nice.
So I want to do that. I have line dance once a week. And I have aerobics. I have line dance by EVE, and I have a young lady out of Willingboro. She comes in and she does an aerobic class. I have vision party. I have a vision party coming up, and
nice.
different things like that.
So how did you come up with the name Art and Soul?
Oh, that
reminds me of Don Cornelius or something.
Interesting. Yeah, because also as a writer, names are very, very important to me.
Absolutely.
One story I was writing, and I was on a roll. I mean, it was so good. This is one of my favorite stories, books that I'm writing. I got stuck on a name, this little boy, and I could not pick that book up for a year.
Oh, wow.
Because within that whole year, I was looking for a name, and I couldn't go further until I found his name. And I finally found his name, and I was able to continue on.
Okay.
But so with the studio's name, I had my sister Ruby, we call her BB, my daughter Jennifer, my daughter Jada, and my niece Kyle. So we had all of us were on the text group.
Oh, yeah.
And we were going back and forth, and we were just throwing names out. And somebody would say a name, and then somebody else would say, that doesn't capture everything. We wanted a name that captured dance, art, poetry, and a place where people can go, because I also will, people can use the studio for their own personal events, such as parties. Not birthday parties, baby shower, bridal shower, things like that.
Okay.
And then my daughter, Jennifer, all of a sudden she said, I got it, because I think we were going art and something, and she said Art and Soul, and then we all said,
it has a nice ring to it.
I like that. Art and Soul.
It has a nice ring to it.
How we got
so
it.
Where do you see yourself? I'm going back to you as a writer, because you have all of these stories. So is it your intention to get them all published?
Yes.
Or what? Okay.
That's my goal.
Okay.
I want to get the studio up and running, because I've only had it for a year and a half.
Oh, that's it?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
A year and a half. And I want to get that, I want the studio to be doing, to flow. And then I want to write. I recently retired, so therefore I have...
You have the time.
I have
the freedom.
Time. The freedom.
Yes.
Because in the last 2 months, I think I have done more in the last 2 months than I've done all my life working 9 to 5. So, so once I get a system, then I'm going to turn to writing. and I'm gonna get these books out because they're good. They're so good.
Yeah.
Sometimes I read my books and I just say, oh, did I write that? Who wrote this? It's so good. And I'm a aha writer. You know what I mean?
What?
Aha.
Like aha moments. Yeah.
At the end of all my stories, you have to go back to see what you missed because you didn't see that coming. I enjoy that.
Yes.
I enjoy the element of surprise. So all of my books are like that.
Oh, nice.
And they have a purpose. Like all of my stories, I should say. They have a purpose. They have a lesson, and I have you rooting for certain characters.
Yes.
And I love my characters, and I get to meet them. I could be at the grocery store, or I can be. One time I was at church, and one of my characters walked past, and you don't know how bad I wanted to get up and go after him and say, "You know who you are," because I will envision them in my head.
Yes.
I know what they look like. I know what they sound like. I know how they walk. I know how they dress. So in real life, when I see somebody, I know who it is.
Oh, wow. You should think about doing some writing workshops in the shop, too. That would be awesome.
I am.
That would be awesome. Like
That's
I was
on the
saying,
list.
when I was in, I've been in Pittsburgh, and I started going to these workshops because there's something really cool about being around other writers.
It is.
It really is. It opens up your mind. It opens up your thoughts, and all of that, and it just kind of pushes you in a lot of ways.
Yes.
So just in the last 2 weekends, I've been to two different, last weekend and the weekend before that, I went to these two creative nonfiction workshops and met some really, really cool people.
Yes.
And, and then I go to this other thing. I discovered this other thing. It's called Shut Up and Write. Right? And what you do is, it's just a group. We meet at a coffee shop, right? And we have a room in the back, right? And basically what we do is, like, everybody's working on whatever their specific writing project is.
Right.
Some people are doing science fiction. I'm doing my creative nonfiction.
Yes.
Other people are doing more like historical biography types of things. Some people write for journals and all of it. So it's a very good mixture. And we get there and we have like about 30 minutes where we're just kind of talking to each other. This is what I've been into, blah, blah, blah. And then we stop talking and write for a solid hour.
Oh my gosh.
Just write for a solid hour.
I love it.
It's amazing. I love it.
I love listening.
It's amazing.
I love,
Yeah.
I went to a writing workshop this weekend in Baltimore. So I love going. And you're right, it was about 30 people there, and they were all, you could just feel the energy.
It's a different kind of energy.
It's a different kind of energy.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that you say the name of your studio, where it's located, the name of your book, and the name of the video, because I want to make sure that our audience walks away with that information so that they can follow up.
Okay.
Okay.
So the studio is Art and Soul. It's Art and Soul Paint Studio. We're located in Ewing on Olden Avenue, 1870 Olden Avenue. The website is www.artandsoulthestudio. My email is...
And that's .com?
Yes, .com. My email is the same, artandsoulthestudio@gmail.com. The name of the book is X Chronicles, and my story is Memory Full. And my video that captures my personal journey is my story after the fire.
Okay. Do you ever think you'll ever write a book?
Yes.
About the
I
the
did.
fire?
I started writing it. And it's called, I love titles. Honey in My Tea. Something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was the title means out of that dark period something
good.
really nice came out of it.
Yeah. Excellent. So thank you, Princis, for coming here. I'm glad you made it here and we were able to kind of get through the interview and everything. So you all heard it all here, Art and Soul, the studio.
Yes.
Go check it out. Go online on YouTube. Say the title one more time.
My Story After the Fire.
Just check her out, and we'll see you next time at the Place to Soar. Thank you. Bye-bye.